and thank you for those who have waited. We've already been promised the good of the land. It's the land, you know, you mentioned land, so it's actually land. Let's put emphasis on the land. And title might just go out before, some title deeds might go out before these presentations are over. Yes, my name is Adejumoke Akure. I'm an estate surveyor and valuer. I'm a fellow of the Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. I'm a member of the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors and a few other things. And it's really an honor to be here. From all the conversations that we've been having, we've spoken, there's a lot of giving that had gone on. We know about the housing gap. We know about how cooperative is an integral, if not one of the last left surviving models to save us from the gap that we have as a nation. And I think it's so poignant because, you know, there's, sorry, I'm an Oyo woman, I say a lot of proverbs. You know, when the Yoruba people say, "Kari kapo yeni yeni," you know, it's an African identity, it's an African culture that we solve problems together. We're a community. And so the only way we're going to get out of this problem is by solving it as a community. One person thinking he can do it and try to pass it on is not going to work. And the identifying that it's a communal problem, that's when they talk about cooperative being community-driven, tells us that that is where the solution lies for us. And so we must be able to start thinking that way so that we can find find a solution to this colossal thing that's in front of us. A few years ago, I was speaking with my cousin. She was based in Shaki, in Oyo State. She's a lecturer. She was a senior lecturer in the Department of Accountancy in, I think, Ogiogupoli. And I was trying to speak to them about the NHF because I can tell you that NHF works because my husband and his friends, it was like, this NHF safe, we go collect them. And they did, it would be a bit of a struggle, but they collected the 15,000, and they were fortunate at the time. They were 15 million, thank you. And at the time they were collecting, there's a property there, 2-bedroom flats in a life camp that was 16. They shake body small, and they took the property. It was about 5 years ago, and I think one of them sold at about 50 something late last year, and all of that. So it works. It's a bit of effort. So I was reaching out to my friend, my cousin, because you know they have reliable salaries. And you know, because she's in Shaki there, she says, "Sister me," because I'm quite older than her. "Sister me, we have houses. You people living in Lagos and Port Harcourt that have problem. We village people, we all have houses." And it shows you that they do it together. So how do you do it? When you know the carpenter, the bricklayer, and they're all in community, they are helping each other out. You are calling on their group to help you, and everybody is making things work. So without over dramatizing the process, you can see that solution works. And it is only here in the so-called urban and semi-urban areas that we just came to continuously have this issue. So yes, we've spoken about the housing crisis. We all know it. We know the comparative advantage and all of that. And then we have all agreed about how important cooperative is to the solution that we have. Now the challenge, the assignment we were given is to develop cost-effective housing for cooperatives. And one of the first things I wanted to say was that cost effectiveness does not mean cheap. Because when you speak cost effectiveness, you say, okay, they want to do loading for the affordable people. But cost effectiveness does not mean cheap. It actually means maximizing value through pragmatism and strategy, meaning that you are using efficient design, you are using affordable financing, and you are using appropriate technology and sustainable community development. Of course, it has some key indicators. That means unit price to the member income must be adaptable. Again, another issue is that you must consider the life cycle maintenance cost. Because sometimes, you know, we build all these fancy things for them. And then remember that as they are paying the mortgage, their working life is also going, they are easing now gradually out of that working life, where they cannot afford to maintain those grandiose things you have put up. I have a little funny matter now. You see a lot of these people in Abuja here. Abuja is not a very good case study for all of us. It's a bit, hyped, where you see people building houses of the life they used to live. So you see a man who is coming towards the end of retirement, still building a 6-bedroom, mansion. and you're asking yourself, how are you going to maintain this place? What are you going to do to it? And you don't go along the line, because this is Nigeria, you don't go along the line like some foreigners where they, they start letting out some rooms, and then you hear me in my house. Somebody come and be saying, me. It's a sign as if you are poor. I have one of my old aunties who, a tenant lives down, she lives up. But she's old and she has issues with mobility. And I say, Mommy, why are you not living there? I said, tenants will be living on top of me. God forbid. So our mentality to house ownership also needs a lot of shifting. That kind of person that will not allow tenant or touch, she will not even lease out some rooms in her house for people to move in. So when we look at, and then of course, another key indicator is the proximity to income generating opportunities. So again, and I'm going to leverage on that for a few minutes. Proximity to income generating opportunities. So it means that, again, when we are building, we need to go a bit outside the urban areas to find these cheap accommodations that we are talking about. But then again, as you're doing that, you also have to consider the other factors like transportation and living in those places. So I will leverage on that for a little bit. But before I do that, I want to finish up some of those areas when it comes to cost effectiveness we were to talk about. Which, one thing before I move forward is we also need to define affordability, which is something that is still hanging in the air. And when I was speaking to the guys in Empower, that it might mean, again, like we said earlier, we cannot have a one-size-fits-all. We must be able to compartmentalize our solution, our affordable solution across different spectrum. Because what the guy with the 150 who can afford the 150 million naira house, and somebody who can, and there's another house for 200 million. For the 100 million naira, 200 million is not affordable. We're still using that word affordable. And the person who is at 30 million house too will still use that word affordable. So affordable seems to be quite, it seems to be a lover by all. Everybody has to use that word, but we all have to find where we fit in that spectrum. So the issues of land access strategies for cooperatives, financial models, affordable and durable construction technologies. And I mean, we've spoken about that in length, about how we need to go back. One of the challenges for us, I think, as Africans is that we love quickly, the minute you become educated, everything that is African just seems to become local and crude. And sometimes for the Efiko Christians, it becomes evil sometimes. So we just need to manage some things in perspective. Because our forefathers, a lot of them didn't go to, they were not architects, they didn't go to all of these fancy schools, but they understood how to build. You'll find people that, you see Native Americans, when they touch the floor, they touch the floor, they can tell you the movement. We need to come back to understand nature. They understood nature. They understood how to build with the bricks, how to mix. Come on, for some of us that say we're Christian, we read when they were building the houses in Egypt, when they were mixing clay and straw. And then we now have to travel to come back and be told that might be, again, what we need to consider to move forward. And so then we've done this round circle. We know what it means. They're talking about bamboo, how it has a higher tensile strength than even steel. And we're not doing research and development. We're not looking at it because we know we don't have any other place to go. So for the likes of Mr. Osman and Co., those are the kind of areas that we thought we should talk about. And this reevaluating the need to constantly import designs from the abroad. I mean, for the life of me, it seemed like a good idea when it started, but it seemed everybody, that is the only thing we can do. Build terrace houses. And the climb, like I discussed it when we met last week, the climbs where they use terrace houses is because they're trying to conserve energy. And then we do it here, and we just think that it's because it's to show that, we are broad. That is what they do in other climbs. And we so proudly talk about other climbs without even understanding the reason why the other climbs do what they do. And when you're talking community engagement, if you are not incorporating the people who are going to live in those homes, you are wasting your time. Because you will just build and they will not be able to offer the solutions that they want. Now, I said something earlier. I said I wanted to leave income generating. And the reason I wanted to leave it is because I want to come to a place where I did a course earlier in the year with the Harvard Graduate School of Design on affordable housing. And one of the things we learned in one of our classes was that we've all spoken about, and this is where I'm going to end, Mr. MC, before he looks at me. We've spoken about the need we're talking about the role of federal government. All the solutions that we're bringing here, they're federal government driven. But the federal government would do so much. We keep leaving out the subnationals. Because that's where we live. That's where our taxes are collected. And they cannot keep burying their head in the sand and come and just speak politics to the challenge of accommodation. Because housing is an infrastructure. And we keep treating it as if it's a charity case. One of the literature reviews said, housing is where jobs go to sleep. Affordable housing is where essential jobs go to sleep. So if that is the case, it means that we need to task the subnationals. They need to play a role. The Lagos State government has been trying for a while to do rent control. You cannot control what you don't supply. But how can you be part of that solution? Because if you're looking at it, it is irresponsible for any state government, especially the big ones, the ones with the huge populations. We know them, the Lagos, the Kano, all of those. If you're not speaking to the problem and partnering with all these solutions to find a way out. We keep talking about titling as if it's from out of space. The solutions are there. If there were areas, so if we come, so in the proximity, if we come to the ones that talk of this, low, affordable, close to social housing, if that is, even if that is just one area that the state government wants to partner with developers, with cooperatives, with the local building industry development, and help to make sure that the access to the titling and all of those things, and even the areas itself, it will be easy for you to have a say, to even open your mouth and say, let's consider rent control in these areas. Because they've been able to, if I even give rules that these areas you cannot even sell until after 10 years, or things like that. And then you will see that it will reduce this area. And then the ability to do affordable, to even make a dent, because we are not making a dent. A friend of mine told me a story that when they were sitting with Baba, with the president, they were talking about the issue of affordable housing. They told him, we're going to be doing 50,000 houses a year. The president looked at them and laughed. And he looked at them, he was listening, and then he walked out, left all of them sitting. And they were, what did he say? Did you say anything wrong and everything? That later he now met them and said, you are not even ashamed of yourself. A country so large like Nigeria, you are talking of 50,000 housing as if it's an achievement. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're not even talking of hundreds of thousands. I'm bringing up some out of the world solutions on how we can have those problems solved. You're talking of 50,000. Still going away again with the problem. Finally, that as you are talking about these small solutions, by 2050, we all know where they said Nigeria is going to be when you talk with population, and you're still talking of 50,000. That's not going to work. So for me, I want to try to close out by before I do a close up. I think it's a Nigerian issue, because I have one of our clients. He's an elderly man. They pride him as the largest art collector in Africa. He said something about this. You see this thing, this thing. He said it's a problem. We were trying to do housing, Nigerian buying houses in the UK. In the UK specifically. Now, that was a period where the UK government had reduced the interest rates, but they still had leverage of a bit. I won't mention, if I say it's a Nigerian bank, but I know a lot of people know the bank, but I will not say the bank, but I know a few people might know the bank, uncle knows the bank. As I was saying to them, I had clients here. And so the UK government allows foreigners to own first home. So you have what you call a buy-to-let. So you can do buy-to-let as a first-time owner, and you can get mortgages. From everything, you can get mortgages from any property above £100,000, £120,000. You can do that. Now, you also get single-digit interest rates. One bank there, they stretch, when other mortgage companies were giving you, they would be okay, the government says 6, they would put just 5 extra, 0.5, 6.5, 7%. They went to the extreme, the maximum limit, beyond when it became unlawful, and said there was 9%. I said, bro, why? We have carried ourselves over there again. Just, even in an environment where they were doing everything to make it possible, we still see it as just an end, a means to an end. It's just profit. So for me, in conclusion, if we do not begin, the man who spoke earlier, if we do not begin to see social innovation in solving the problem of housing in Nigeria, and also begin to see it as an infrastructure that government, especially the national, the way Lagos State will look for loan to do Lamata and do BRT and do the train lines, that is the way we need to begin to look at massive development in social housing or corporate housing, depending on the spectrum of affordability that you are in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we please give a round of applause to all of our panelists who have made brilliant